This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Friday, the 8th day of March in the year 2024. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting, and here's what we're tracking tonight. The minutes for the first round of negotiations between the Ministry of Education and the Guyana Teachers Union have confirmed that the two sides have agreed to discuss salary increases for the period 2019 to 2023 at the next meeting. Hours after the president of the Guyana Teachers Union, Mark Light, told reporters that Thursday's meeting ended with an agreement that the salary negotiations will begin with the 2019 to 2023 period, the chief education officer, Saddam Hussein, in a statement said that there was no such agreement. But according to the minutes of the meeting signed by both Light and Hussein, the parties agreed that the number 2 issue to be discussed as proposed by the GTU would be salary matters included in the multi-year proposal 2019 to 2023. It said both parties agreed to meet on Tuesday, the 12th of March 2024 from 9:30 at the Ministry of Education boardroom to discuss the following items: the salary matters included in the multi-year proposal 2019 to 2023, the 2% difference in salary for 2017 and 2018, the clothing allowance increase, and the Whitley Council being paid every 3 years. In his statement, the chief education officer said the government maintains its original position and that any multi-year agreement must start from the year 2024, not retroactively. But nowhere in the minutes references such a position. According to the document, Hussein in his remarks said the Education Ministry intends to address 5 additional issues other than those identified by the GTU. The Education Ministry, according to the list of priority areas agreed upon, put forward the issues of absenteeism, punctuality, demotion of heads and deputies from poor-performing schools, compulsory CPD hours per year, and completion of SBAs. The two sides are expected to meet on Tuesday in keeping with an agreement reached at the conclusion of the mediation process ordered by the court. More news coming up in just a moment.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true, or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Holiday spending put a dent in your cash. Top up your pockets in the Cash Splash promotion. Win over $5 million, including over $1 million in our weekly draws. Just purchase any Buster, Turbo, Fruita, Pool Kids, or Viva. Look for the 8-digit code starting with 786. Then visit Facebook or IG at Buster Guyana or Turbo_Caribbean for more details.
In our search for sophistication and grace, the Super Stylistics team invites you to be part of something extraordinary. Mothers and daughters who possess aura and presence that transcend through time. Step forward and become part of the Mother and Daughter Pageant 2024. Join our legacy as we redefine elegance for generations to come. The search for the epitome of timeless love begins now. Call 226-2825 or 626-0460 to secure your spot in the Mother and Daughter Pageant 2024.
Vice President Jagdeo has accused the local courts of undermining governance in the country and frustrating the will of the people. He made a statement as he expressed disappointment that the elections fraud cases before the Georgia Magistrates Court are experiencing further delays. At a press conference yesterday, Mr. Jagdeo said the magistracy was hindering the administration of justice.
Judiciary here, the magistracy, they're frustrating the will of the people, and they're not allowing justice to be done, and they're undermining governance in this country. governance.
The election fraud cases have been put on hold, pending the hearing and determination of a constitutional matter at the level of the High Court in relation to the same cases. An opposition member of parliament and a number of top GCOM officials are among those facing the fraud charges. City Magistrate Lerone Daly has referred the question of fair hearing to the High Court in response to the defense attorney's contention that Section 142 of the Representation of the People's Act, which bars the disclosures of minutes of meetings held by the Elections Commission, is unconstitutional. Magistrate Daly last Wednesday said she was compelled to refer the matter to the High Court in accordance with the Constitution and cannot therefore proceed with the trial until the High Court pronounces on the very important issue raised. But Jagdeo believes that there is a deliberate attempt to stall the case.
In our case, you've had a merry-go-round. It's all transparent that they don't want these people to go to trial because the evidence is so overwhelming that it will support a conviction and jail for these individuals.
Mr. Jagdeo also told reporters that the case has gone on for far too long and should have concluded by now.
I'm not asking for a particular decision. We're not saying we want the person convicted or not. We're asking that you proceed with the trial. The trial. It's been too long. It's almost four years now and we can't get to trial.
And while comparing Guyana's judiciary to that of the U.S., the vice president said there might be a need for legislative reform so as to hold judicial officers accountable when they fail to perform. He said Guyanese might be tiptoeing around the issue or even silent out of fear that should they speak up against the judiciary, they will be cited for contempt of court. Mr. Jagdeo said the judiciary must be held accountable, contending that underperformance has the potential of harming the will of the Guyanese people. Attorney Ronald Daniels, who's representing a number of the accused, said the statements made by the vice president are reckless and irresponsible and have the potential to undermine the governance of the country. He said the statements by Mr. Jagdeo are an attack on the local judges and magistrates. Let's tell you now that the charges against Superintendent of the Mazaruni Prison, Alexander Hopkinson, along with 3 other prison officers, Omar Witherspoon, Conroy Hosanna, and Oldfield Romulus, have been dismissed by Bartica Magistrate Krista Lambert. The men were charged with conspiring to facilitate the escape of death row prisoner Royden Williams, also known as Smalley, in May of last year. 2 other persons, businessman Rajmohan Other, known as Chico, and Venezuelan national Frangelis Flores Perez, were also freed of the conspiracy charges. The DPP recently discontinued the charges against the businessman for lack of evidence. In dismissing the other cases today, the magistrate explained that the only bit of evidence that the prosecution was leaning on to establish conspiracy were phone records that were not properly recorded. The magistrate said using one cell phone to take a photograph of another cell phone cannot be the way to gather evidence in a case to prove conspiracy. She also said that added up to nothing more than hearsay. The magistrate ruled that a prima facie case was not made out against the accused, and therefore the matter was thrown out. It was in May of last year that a death row inmate made a daring escape from the Mazaruni jail in a hail of gunfire between prison guards and heavily armed men who turned up in boats at the prison to break him out of the prison facility. In February 2017, Williams was sentenced to death when a jury found him guilty of 8 counts of murder in relation to the 2008 Bartica massacre, in which a number of persons, including 3 police officers, were killed. Several months later, in July 2017, Williams escaped from the prison at Camp Street during a riot. However, he was later nabbed at Weldad on the west coast of Berbice while traveling in a minibus. Days after his escape last year, he was shot dead during a reported shootout with the police in Region 7.
At the most critical life-changing moments, the National Insurance Scheme is here to ensure that your needs are covered. Access reimbursement for medical expenses for various aspects of your medical care. We know that eye care is of utmost importance. Receive assistance with our Spectacle Care voucher. Visiting the dentist? Dental care is also covered under our sickness benefit services. Offset the funeral expenses of a loved one with costs covered by our funeral benefits. National Insurance Scheme. We're there every step of the way.
Look at the breathtaking beauty of the Essequibo, from its pristine rivers to its abundant resources. It's a treasure that belongs to Guyana, and we ask Venezuela to respect the rule of international law.
Our commitment to this land
is not just about ownership.
It's about preserving its beauty and resources for our people and future generations.
The controversy between Guyana and Venezuela was settled internationally as full, perfect, and final in 1899. Essequibo belongs to Guyana.
A decision by the Georgetown City Council to have a cease work order issued to the developer of the Qatari hotel along Carafesta Avenue has faced a setback, as the city engineer is refusing to issue the order, according to Mayor of Georgetown, Alfred Mentor. At a press conference, he said while the issue of ownership of the land is in dispute, no permission was granted by the council for any development in that area.
This is not a cease work order that you have to verify the veracity of who owns it or who occupies it. This is a job where there are works being done. There was nothing sent to the council. There was nothing sent to the city engineers department speaking to this construction. This is unauthorized work, and the city engineer, even though we gave him instructions to be able to treat with that, he has violated that instructions. And it's deemed a dereliction of duty.
The mayor said a law cannot exist for citizens, and those very laws are not applied to investors. He said when a citizen is constructing any business or building around the city, permission must be sought and granted from the council. Therefore, he noted that the government bypassing the council and issuing the land and later the beginning of construction works on that land might not be legal.
The job is being done without any authorization by the engineers department or the council, and that it is unauthorized, and that you should place a cease work order on the persons who are using the property.
And on the issue of the ownership of the land, the mayor is maintaining that the land in question belongs to the Georgetown City Council.
I am saying that the whole area of Thomas Lands or the area that was gifted to the council by Mr. Hogg, the Hogg's family, is property of the Mayor City Council, and all area of the south side and the north side concerns us. I have documents to prove that.
In addition, the mayor stated that he has a copy of a survey plan and lease even for the north side of the property in question. Former City Constabulary Officer Gregory Bascom was freed of a manslaughter charge on Thursday for the shooting death of Marlon Fredericks, who was believed to be mentally unstable. Fredericks was shot dead during an escape bid from the custody of the City Constabulary holding facility at Borda. He was reportedly in custody for violently attacking another city constable. The incident dates back to January of 2018. In dismissing the manslaughter charge against the City Constabulary officer, Justice Priya Bihari noted that the defense counsel, Yubun Alikok, was able to highlight to the court that the prosecution for the state failed in showing that the City Constabulary officer discharged his firearm unlawfully, resulting in the man's death. It was also highlighted that the prosecution failed to present any standing order which guides the City Constabulary officer in the use and discharge of a firearm. It was found that the prosecution failed to prove that the City Constabulary officer acted unlawfully.
In our search for sophistication and grace, the Super Stylistics team invites you to be part of something extraordinary. Mothers and daughters who possess aura and presence that transcend through time. Step forward and become part of the Mother and Daughter Pageant 2024. Join our legacy as we redefine elegance for generations to come. The search for the epitome of timeless love begins now. Call 226-2825 or 626-0460 to secure your spot in the Mother and Daughter Pageant 2024.
Guyana's economy is rapidly transforming, and we're all part of it. Guyana is at the forefront of this development by providing reliable and efficient energy and supporting community development from the very core. 100% of Guyana's profit goes back to building schools, roads, and other important infrastructure that connects our cities and towns, providing fuel to domestic, marine, industrial, and aerial transportation. Guyana has now repositioned itself as a market leader in the petroleum industry, building a better future for all of us.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Holiday spending put a dent in your cash. Top up your pockets in the Cash Splash promotion. Win over $5 million, including over $1 million in our weekly draws. Just purchase any Buster, Turbo, Fruita, Cool Kids or Viva. Look for the 8-digit code starting with 786. Then visit Facebook or IG at Buster Guyana or Turbo_Caribbean for more details.
With your regional and international news tonight, I'm Svetlana Marshall. In the region, Haiti's main port says it is suspending operations due to sabotage and vandalism as the capital city descends further into violence and chaos, the BBC said in a report. Local media report that armed men broke into the port in capital Port-au-Prince, looting containers. It follows attacks by gangs on the airport, police stations, and prisons this week. They are pushing for Haitian Prime Minister Ariel Henry's removal. The 3-day state of emergency has now been extended by a month. Caribbean Port Services, the operator of the port, cited malicious acts of sabotage and vandalism as it announced the decision to suspend all services. More than 20 trucks carrying vital equipment, medical supplies, and food are stuck at the port, according to the UN's World Food Programme, which said it had suspended its maritime transport service, citing insecurity. The UN Humanitarian Affairs Agency has warned that the country's health system is nearing collapse. Suriname is set to receive US $62.5 million from the International Monetary Fund IMF, bringing the total disbursements to the Dutch-speaking Caribbean Community CARICOM country to date to US $326 million, following the conclusion of the staff-level agreement with a Washington-based financial institution. The IMF is supporting the country's economic recovery program through its extended fund facility EFF, and the review is subject to approval by the IMF's executive board. According to the IMF, Suriname's commitment to fiscal and monetary discipline helped restore macroeconomic stability, and the economy is expected to grow at 3% this year. It said inflation is on a steady downward trend and investor confidence is returning. A conservative 2024 budget was enacted in line with the program's fiscal targets. The IMF said the priority ahead is to maintain fiscal discipline and avoid policy backtracking while strengthening institutions and improving governance. And finally tonight, international news. A former Google software engineer has been charged by the US with stealing trade secrets about artificial intelligence AI while secretly working for 2 Chinese companies. Li Wingding, also known as Leon Ding, was indicted in California on 4 charges and arrested on Wednesday. The Chinese national allegedly stole more than 500 confidential files. If convicted, he faces up to 10 years in prison and $250,000 in fines on each count. A lawyer from Mr. Ding could not be identified to comment on the case, local media reported. The information he's accused of taking relates to the infrastructure of Google's supercomputing data centers, which are used to host and train large AI models. According to the indictment, Mr. Ding was hired acquired by Google in 2019, and his responsibilities included developing this software. He allegedly began uploading information stored in Google's network to a personal Google account in May 2022. The uploads continued periodically for a year, the indictment read.
And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Svetlana Marshall reporting and encouraging you to stay safe.